Oh,
Tuesday night.
the computer was loud. Okay, that makes more sense.
I'm
Yeah, that makes
sorry. I
more.
apologize.
Yeah, no. It's yeah. So right. Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah. All right. Okay, what did we get up to last night? Oh, so we were in the middle of the sugya. Yeah, on the bottom, we're 3 lines up in the bottom, 2 lines up in the bottom, test summit base. Um, uh, so we were having a machlaikis whether bia shalei. The first part of the Amid is going to be about bia shalei kedarka, and then then the rest of the daf is going to be about bia being kaina or not, and how it's kaina, etc., etc. So, so we had a machlaikis last night. If if the if bia shalei kedarka makes a girl into a ba'ula, right? So we had said that Rebbe's Maida, or that everybody holds that, but as it's negaya to the husband, if the husband sleeps with her bia shalai kedarka instead of the regular bia, that will, according to all shitas, that will make her into be considered a ba'ula. It's a machlaikis whether other men are together with her shalai kedarka, whether that makes into a, I mean, certainly a Mises nus, but whether that would make her into a into maybe would that be considered a bia, right? So the Gemara says, "Umi says Rebbe High Svara." Does Rebbe really hold that a woman
Is that
who's
only for Kedushin or also Nida?
I'm assuming that it's neither two, right? I'm assuming that it's anything. See the problem. Yeah, well, let's finish off the sugya part. This is a good question. Um, yeah, because for whatever reason, bia shaloi kedarka is treated as some form of bia, right? Where the Rama even has doesn't even say a havamina. He really paskins that bia shaloi kedarka is mutter, even if there could be a haitzah zera. He says you shouldn't do it, right? But he does bring that. So like, why? Why should it? Why should that not be haitzah zera levatala? If it's not, it can't impregnate,
Isn't
right?
it a treasure? Mishkeveish.
Isn't it a? What are you saying, Gershon?
It's a treasure. Mishkeveish. Plural.
I understand, but why is that not an issue? Why is it not us straight out al zera levatala? What's a pshat?
But see, Yaakov, you quoted the Taisus. Wasn't that a machlekes and Taisus with Rabbeinu Tam? When you brought down Ramesha?
The what? When? Which? In Yavamis?
Legabe, I don't know if it was Bish like a darker, but the idea that is that any if it's Ba'isa Indian, it's considered it's not considered Zerl at all.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it
but
was
that
not a mice. The Gimel not.
I thought it wasn't there a Maishi you quoted. I don't know if it was in Ksubis or
L'chara it's in
Yavamis.
Yavamis. L'chara was in Yavamis.
It was a Taisvis.
Yeah, but I don't remember exactly. But yeah, but it's Lemais.
I think it was Legabe, a woman that's already pregnant.
Right, that's by Shalosh
Right.
Nashim. Right, but that's if it goes the derech the Isa Makam and everything works naturally. Meaning,
I thought you
meaning
took it a step weiter with the. I thought you meant quoted
there,
Ramesha a step weiter.
Akiva, there are those that take it a step weiter. The question is
I
who
thought you
those.
quoted Ramesha Legabe that.
I don't think it's a Maish. I don't think so. It could be. I could be. I did. I have no recollection, unfortunately. But anyway, so that's where it gets into that for whatever reason, Bia Shalai is considered, I guess, like Gershon is saying, it's Mishkave Isha. There's plural to it. Okay. Anyway, so the Gemara, so Rebbe again held that that it's considered I'm sorry, a Bia Shalai Kedarka is still a basula, a woman who has Bia with somebody that's not her husband is still considered a basula. Right? That was the shot. That was the Gemara. So the Gemara asked him, is the Rebbe high svara? Does Rebbe really hold of this svara that she's still considered a basula? Batanya bo he basula. If 10 men are together with her and she's still a basula, meaning because it was all biyasha like a darka, kulam beskila, they all get skila, right? Because we consider them we consider we consider her basula. Rabbi Aimer Ani, Rabbi says that I say Harishan Beskila, the first one is Beskila, the Kulam Bechenek, and the rest of them are Chenek, which is the regular punishment for being Mazana with an Eshes Ish. So according to Rabbi, why does the first one get Skila and the rest Chenek? Because the first one he was together with a Basula, and the rest of them she's considered a Ba'ula. So you see, Rabbi holds that she's considered a Ba'ula on Tamar Aleph. Tamar Abzeira, Maida Rebbe Lini Knas, the Kulu Mashawi. No, so now we're splitting it. Because there's two issues that you have here. There's there's a chi of Misa, either Skila or Chenek, because they're being Mazana with an Eshes Ish. But there's also Knas. Right? Meaning when a guy is Mazana, if a guy is Ma'anis, if a guy rapes or he is Mafata, a single girl or a Basula, he has to pay, what do you call it? 50, what's it called? 50, right?
Isn't that a bit of a catch-22?
What do you mean?
If it's considered a bia, if it's not considered a bia, so then why are you chayiv to be Mishalan? If it is considered a bia, why are you chayiv to Mishalan once she's not an Ira, once she's not a Basul anymore?
Well, that's what he said. So, right, so Rebbe is being machalik between Knas and Misa.
No. What I'm saying is that in the Knas, he's saying everyone's chayiv because they were boil a Basula.
Correct.
If it's considered a bia, how is she a Basula? So you're having your cake and eating it too when it comes to
100%. Well, let's see. Right, that law. So what's right? So Akiva's asking, what's the difference? Either she's a Basula or she's not.
No, I'm not asking that tomorrow's question.
No.
I thought that's what you asked.
You still has Basulim. No.
Right, so then you're not boil.
Yeah, she's.
You are boil, and it's still Basulim.
So
what's
what
the big problem? What's the big problem?
You mean the second and third?
What's the big problem?
You mean 2
through
10?
If you don't consider it a bia, so then I didn't do anything to her. And if you do consider it a bia, she's not a basul anymore. Meaning, if it's a bia like a dark is a bia, she's not a basul anymore. Then she's not an iron.
She still has
unless you say that she has. Let's say Stamazai.
So then you're having your cake and eating it too.
So that's good. You get fat. It's good to have your cake and eat it too.
Let's say 1 second. Let's say a guy's boil a girl and her basulim don't break. You know that happens.
See, Yaakov, in the Chumash, because in Matan Torah, didn't it say by all everybody says they didn't have Shaloika Darkei too, because that's a bia, but they still kept they had bia, but they could sign the contract. They still had basulim. It says the whole Chumash in 5 places.
Yeah.
We had in Ksubis also that they did bia and they got around the psulim.
Oh, Hatia, right. Who was that? Shmuel? Who was it?
Shmuel.
I'm saying, so if let's say somebody's boil, right? And her basulim are totally intact. She has a din basula now. Her or not.
You're not comparing the same thing.
Well, because you're saying that at least, what do you mean? She physically has the basulim still there.
And she didn't have bia in that markum.
No, but let's say I'm asking if she did.
If somebody has bia derech ivarim, they're not a basula anymore. What does one thing have to do with the other?
Okay, so then why should be a shalai kedarka have to do with it?
That's it's still she's still a basula. That's what I'm saying to you. The fact that somebody's chayiv, that's a different reason. There's nothing to do. She's not a basula anymore. What does one thing have to do with the other?
Right. Erachanami. Well, yeah. Okay, so let's see. But anyways,
I thought Akiva was asking with the 10 people. So the first one, if you say that it's done, so then 2 through 10 shouldn't be chayiv.
But that's the next tomorrow's question, Barrett. That's what Tiago said. No, Tiago,
Right,
that's what you're
that's
saying.
why I thought
No,
he
some
was
some
saying.
of
No,
us didn't do the
that's
daf
not
yet.
saying.
Some of us haven't done the daf yet.
Some of us
Just
are
saying.
driving.
Some of us know it by heart.
Yeah. Anyways, so again,
The pin
Rebbe
test is hard to do when you're driving. That's difficult.
Listen, I'm waiting to see if Art
There's
School
a
comes
reason
out.
I'm not muting everybody.
I believe for the Art Scroll in 3.5 years, Bez Hashem, or 4 years when the next cycle starts, they're gonna have it what they call it on the windshield of the cars, so that the Olam could do the daf while they're driving. See-through letters or something like that. We'll see. We'll see if that technology. But anyways, so again,
Everybody will have an AI robot sitting next to them in the car.
yeah, or something along those lines. Yeah. So anyway, so Reb Zeira is saying a chiddush that according to Rameir, for the knas, she's considered a basula. For misa, she's considered a baula. Okay, so the question is, my shno my katu. Why should there be a difference between the knas and the killing? Right. So shani hasam domakra umeisa ish asher shochav imo levadoi. No, there is different by misa. It said the pasuk says Mesa Ish, the man who slept with the woman, he should die, meaning he himself, levadoi, he himself. Right? So what does it mean? He himself should die, right? So the way Rebbe is dashing is he himself, meaning the first guy who was mezana with her, Shalai Kedarka, he gets skila. Everybody else gets chenek, right? I can't say that if I'm reading a piece of Chumash, I would think that that's the word levadoi. The case of levadoi is what? 10 guys being mezana, shaloi kedarka, the first guy gets skila. Okay, right? Rabbanon, high levadoi mayavdi. Okay, so what are the Rabbanon who disagree? What are they going to do with levadoi? Look at the Tanya, umesu gam shneim. It says, and they both are going to die. Meaning two people that are mezana, male and female, both die. Which means achi yushavin ke'echad. Now we have a machlekes Rashi tells us what this means. Rashi says that they both have to be over bar and bas mitzvah, right? They have to be b'nei einshin, and this is coming to exclude a gadol sleeps with a katana. So there, the katana is not going to be chayav misa, but the gadol will be chayav misa. Divrei Reb Oishia, and our Tosfos doesn't like that pshat in Rashi. Right, and he says, oh no, I'm forgetting what Tosfos said. Anybody remember what Tosfos says? It's a long Tosfos. And yeah, right. Tosfos said, Rabbeinu
Yeah,
Tam
was
says,
that word levada you said?
yeah, why?
Well, that could be song of the daf, not that the song has anything to do with the shot, but we can call that song of the daf.
What, the word Levada? Levada.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear. Most of the daf doesn't even know because then, yeah, but one of these more modernish. Anyways, Rabbeinu Tam says that if they have to both get the same misa, right? So fine, okay, whatever it is. So Rabbi Shia learns that it's somewhere where they both have to be on equal footing. Right? Rabbi Yonason says that when it says the pasuk of Meisa Ish Asher Shochav Ima Levadoi, he's learning the Lavadoi to tell you that even if, according to Rashi, one is a god or one is a katan, so then he himself will get the misa. But just because the one he was mezana with doesn't get misa doesn't mean that he's not going to get misa. And Toises will learn that it means that even if he gets his own type. Fine. Rabbi Yochanan, high svara minole. Rabbi Yochanan, how does he know this svara? It's interesting that this is called a svara. Right? Meaning
Russian yesterday, no?
What?
Russian sweater for Joshua we had yesterday.
Yeah. No, but what's it called? How do you say it? I'm saying, is it a svara? I guess it's saying it's a svara that she's being that only the husband makes her into ba'ula if it's bia shalai kedar. Right? That's basically what the Gemara is asking. But if you're going to high svara, how does he know it? Ish. Let's say a woman. What did the pasuk say? A woman who is ba'ula with a man. My ba'ula's baal. Why does it say she's a ba'ula's baal? Right? Shema mina tarti. So then we can learn out both. We learn out both dinim. That the husband makes her into only the husband. I'm sorry, not the husband makes her into a be'ula, right? And that that bia is, what do you call it? And you can make kedushin with bia. Okay, it's fine. Now I'm going to ask the shaila. Boilahu, very interesting shaila. Tchilas bia kaina, oisayf bia kaina. So we hold that bia is kaina, right? That we've established. Is it the tchilas bia or the end of the bia? Meaning the way it's meant is what we called hara. Hara is when the aver goes in. Yeah, the crown of the aver goes in, right? So is that called the bia, or does the aver have to go fully in? What's the difference? Yeah.
According to Huna that holds chuppah's kaina, would there already be a din chuppah over here? Chuppah's kaina by kedushin. Would there be already chuppah over here? Be aside.
Would there be chuppah over here? What do you mean? I don't understand. What does that have to do with chuppah?
By being miyachad with her.
Oh, you're talking about that the yichud should be a chuppah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear.
It might be the next Gemara.
Well, that is the next Gemara, but I don't know.
I know, but my point is the kedushin shabbat. You're trying to do BS kedushin. Why is it not already chal kaidem? The Gemara is discussing beginning of the bia, the end of the bia. You already did yichud.
Right.
Unless you don't have in mind, I don't know.
Yeah, no, right. I hear. I don't know. It's a good question. Anyway, so that's the Gemara shayla. Tchilas bia is kind of, soipi is kind of. Nafkamina. What's the difference? So when sheheraba, where he went inside her a little bit, upashta yada v'kibla kiddushin me'achar. And then she, while he's doing hara, she sticks out her hand, right, and she takes a money or a ring. I mean, you could just imagine this, right? She takes the guy says hara v'kudeshes li to her while this guy did hara. Right? So Mamela, who she married to, the first guy or the second guy? If Tchilas bia,
well, that answers Stove's question. There's no yichud.
That's a good one, Peretz Taka. At least in this case, it's no yichud akiva. That's what Peretz is timing. Otherwise, you got need Adam there, and you muted Ravar. Ravar, you muted. Ravar, you muted it.
Myself on a reason, but now I can't. Peretz, he thought those Adam were his friends, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. Parrots, I hope you're not on speaker in your car when you're driving with your kids.
Yeah. No, listen, Zimmerman said I can have it on. No, I'm kidding. I'm on, dude.
Yeah. Anyways, so basically, she stuck out her hand to take kedushin. So if tchilas bia is a bia, so then the second kedushin, as we know, when one man marries another, if a man marries a married woman, the kedushin's nothing. So if the tchilas bia was, so she's married to the first guy, and the second guy's kedushin is nothing. If soif bia, then the second guy's, the meaning not the second guy, the guy being boil is not the husband, the other guy's the husband. Inami the kohen gadol the kakani besula bebia. Right? You have a kohen gadol. Let's say a kohen gadol decides, so kohen gadol can only marry.
Is she chayav misa now?
I was wondering.
Ish?
Oh, it could be. It could be she's chayav misa. I'll say she's ish. Maybe. I would think.
I mean, she stuck out her hand as Makabal Kedushin, and now she's over because of Ashes Ish.
You got the two sets of Adam. The Adam could do two jobs at once. They could be Makadasher, and they could also be Mechayev or Misa. Talk about a hard day.
Didn't we say Ein Kateger, now say Seneger?
Taka. That's very good. I don't know. Maybe. Anyways, So what's it with the Kohen Gadol? So Kohen Gadol has to marry a Basula. So if you say that Tchilas Bia is Koina, so then it's fine. Because by the time he gets to the Saif Bia, so then she's a she, meaning he was Koina Basula. But if you say that the Kinyan only happens at the Gemar Bia, she's already considered a Ba'ula, but before he gets from the Hara, she's considered a Ba'ula. Right? So that means that it's impossible for a Kohen Gadol to ever marry a woman with Bia. Because again, Tchilas Bia makes her into a Ba'ula. She's not, the Kohen Gadol is not Kohen her till Saif Bia. So what's the din? Whoever's boil, his das is going on the Gemar Bia. So Mamela, nothing happens until the Gemar Bia. So that means if the lady stuck out her hand to be Makabel Kiddushin, that Kiddushin is nothing. That Kiddushin she would be married to the second guy, and the Kohen Gadol comes out according to this that the Kohen Gadol cannot how do you say it? The Kohen Gadol cannot do a Kiddushin bebia. All right, now Tosfos asks from Yavamas that we said in Yavamas that Hara is considered a Bia Gemura. Right? Right? So Tosfos has a few terutzim, of which the main teretz is that that's only this whole Gemara Shaila is when he's doing Hara and then to be followed by a Gemar Bia. But if his whole kavanah was just to do Hara, then that's taka considered. That would be considered a Gemar Bia. Right? Meaning again, this guy plans on doing Hara and a Gemar Bia. So Mamela, the Kiddushin doesn't have until the Gemar Bia. But if the guy's only intention was to do Hara, then that taka would be considered a Bia. Fine. Okay, now the Gemara goes on, takes a blot for this little sugi here. And basically, for whatever reason, the Gemara thinks that Bia can act twofold. Even though from the Gemara a few blot ago was mashma not like that. Oh, well, the truth is it was totally in the machlokes there. Right, but for whatever reason, the Gemara thinks that the Bia can make her into, meaning could have Kiddushin and Nisuin, right? We said that there's two stages of marriage. It's Kiddushin, and then with the way they did it, a year later was Nisuin. So for whatever reason, the Gemara has a kasha that maybe Bia can do Kiddushin and Nisuin in one Maisa Bia. The Gemara didn't ask this by Kesef. The Gemara didn't ask this by Shtar. It's only asking this by Bia. So Yibailu, Bia Nesua Isa, Erisin Isa. Does it make Nisuin too, meaning it does a 2-for-1 deal? Or is it just doing engagement? Meaning the seems like the pshat in the shah. Why dafka Bia? Because Bia, Kesef and Shtar cannot do Nisuin, right? We had this once before. Kesef and Shtar cannot do Nisuin. The only one that can do Nisuin is Bia. So Memela, since Bia can do Nisuin, or at least through Yichud Akiva, right? But since it can also make Nisuin, so maybe it could do Kiddushin and Nisuin in the same Maisa. So Nafkamina, what's the difference? Liyarsha to Yashin her, because normally after Kiddushin, the husband and then the wife dies, the husband does not Yashin her. But if they got married through Bia and it's in a Nisuin, then the husband will Yashin her. So the Tamala, and if to become Tomei to her, right? Meaning if he's a Kayan and his wife dies, so once they're married, he becomes Tomei to her. But if they're only engaged, again, what we call engaged, then he doesn't become Tomei to her. Ulaha for Nidara, to be made for Nidarim, meaning exclusively to be made for Nidarim. Or meaning without the father. If you say that Bia also makes Nisuin, Yarsha, Matamalo, made for Nidara, he could do about those things. If you say does Erisin, ain't a Yarsha, ain't a Matamalo, ain't a made for Nidara. Okay, so what's the din? Meaning, do we look at Bia that it could be a Kedushin and a Nisuin? So the Gemara goes through a couple of rayas that are very similar. Then it has a third on a base of a much longer raya. A father, we said, a father can be Zoich his daughter who's less than 12 and a half. He gets the money, gets the star. Bia, which we said in Toisus a few blot ago, that what does it mean the father gets the bia? He gets the worth of the bia, right? V'zaka mitziyasa, and he's like her mitzias. If she finds anything, he keeps it. There, and if she does any work, he gets to keep it. But first, the he's made for another. Makabel is gita, and if she gets divorced, he's makabel again on her behalf. But the father cannot eat peris, right? Meaning, I'm sorry, the husband. I'm sorry, no, the father, right? The father cannot eat peris b'chayah, meaning if she yarshins from her mother's father, right? From her mother's father, that does not go to her father. Nisis, but once she gets married, yeser alav habal, so the Baal has all of the above, plus shaycha peris b'chayah, that he could eat the peris in her life. Whatever it is, what do you see from here? That the father is Zoicha in the Kiddushin, whether it's Kesef, Shtar, and Bia. And then it says, if she gets married, then the husband has all of the above. So what do you mean if she gets married? If we're saying that Bia makes Kiddushin and Nesuin, then there's no if she gets married. She got married. Bia makes Kiddushin and Nesuin. So since the Gemara seems to say that if she gets married, then the husband has an additional din, that means that the Kiddushin, right, when they had Bia as a Kiddushin, did not make her marry. Yeah. So Gemara answer, so Katani Bia, but Katani Nisas. It says Bia and it says, and she got married. So clearly the two are different. So Gemara answers, Ki Katani Nisas Ashara. When it says that she got married, right, that's only going on if she got engaged with Kesef or Shtar. Then if she got married, right? Then if she got married, the husband changes. But if she got married with Bia, then that's an automatic Kiddushin and Nesuin. So we don't have a right. Fine. Amar Rava. So Tashima, Bas Shalishon and B'yom Echad Miskadeshes B'Bia. A girl who's 3 days old is Miskadeshes B'Bia. Very interesting. Rashi here. I have no idea. Dr. Corman's still on. He's no. I have no idea what Rashi means here. He says because if you boil a girl less than 3, it's like nice and etzba ba'ayin, be'ein bia. I don't know exactly what happens to an eye when you stick a finger into the eye. I'm assuming the eye pops right back.
It's over 3, no?
No, Rashi says if less than 3, even she does not lose her basula.
So what's the shiloh? What's bothering you?
I'm assuming because it comes back.
Right. We learned that already.
He's asking about Rashi's raya and eye. If you stick your finger in an
what
eye.
Rashi's technically, right. I don't know what that means with an eye. That's all. Medically, I have no idea what that means. Somebody pokes an eye. I guess the eye gets pushed in and then it pops back out. That's what I'm assuming happens to a basulim of less than a 3-year-old.
Okay. Right.
Right. So that's just an interesting Rashi, the mashal that Rashi uses. That's all. That's all I'm pointing out. Right. So anyway, so Bas Shalish Shanim V'yom Echad Miskadeshes Bia. She's miskadeshes with Bia. V'im Ba'aleh Yavam, and if the Yavam is Ba'al her Kana, right, then he's kind of her, meaning over 3 years old. And if a girl gets married over 3 years old and then somebody's mezana with her, they're going to be chayav ish, right? Umatama is Ba'ala, and if she's a nida, the din nida is if a man sleeps with a nida, he himself becomes a nida. Right? So as matama is bayala on Tom Beis now, the tami mishkav tachta ke'elyon. To be matama, the lower layers the same way it does the upper layers. Meaning, normally for tuma you need to touch things. Like if I sit on a chair and I'm tummy, so the chair becomes tummy. Then that chair can go touch something else, and you go down the road only a few levels. But nida has a special din. So let's say the woman's sitting down on top of 10 pillows. So even though she's not touching the bottom pillow or none of the pillows under, they all become tummy. So the husband will have the same.
Neither when she's 3.
And a chanami, if it's a fluke thing that she became a nida somehow, right? There are some babies that see dam, and some want to time that's dam. That would be dam nida. But anyways, So the time mishkav tachtin ke'alyan, the husband will be mitam mishkav tachtin ke'alyan. V'im nisis the kohen aichelas betruma, and if the 3-year-old marries a kohen, she could eat truma. V'im bala echon mikol arayis b'torah, and if any of the arayis boil her, ma'imtzin al yada, they die. V'hi petura, but she's going to be potter, obviously, because she's a katana. V'im bala echon min psulin, and if any of the psulin are boiled her, meaning, let's say, a guy or something like that, so possible kahuna, in a kahuna, she becomes possible from the kahuna. Right? Yeah, so, okay, so now what's the kash? What's the right? Katani bia, the katani nissus. Right? We said, first we talked about bia, and then we said, if she gets married, same right as before. So when it answers no, hachi kamar, this is what it says. I hani nisuin, the kohen, and who, if she got married to a kohen, aichelas betruma, then she could eat truma. Meaning, it's not saying that that she was first married with bia, and then meaning she had a kedushin with bia, and then she has to go get another second level of kedushin. No, that's not what of nisuin. That's not what it's saying. It's saying that if that original bia was to a kohen, then she could automatically start eating truma. She does not have to wait until after nisuin. Okay, so the Gemara thought it had rayas, and now it does not. Fine. So Toshima. Yeah. So now we have this raya is a lot longer. The Kvasholach Yochanan ben Bagbag Eitzel Rabbi Yehuda ben Peseir l'Netzivin. Right. So Yochanan ben Bagbag sent to Rabbi Yehuda ben Peseir l'Netzivin Shamati Alech Shata Omer Arusa Bas Yisrael Lechaz B'Truma. I heard on you that you said that an engaged girl could eat truma. Right? Meaning, we said, and we had this a couple of blot ago also, we said that a girl, when she has the first stage of marriage, Kiddushin, midrabanon, she's not allowed to eat truma, right? Which we had said back then, and we're going to say it now too, and plus another reason, that the reason is because even though she's considered like the kohen's wife and should be able to eat truma, but we're afraid that if we're going to give her truma, she's going to go feed it to her siblings who are not kohanim. Right? So it's a Gezer D'Rabbanan. So he said, I heard that you hold that an Arusa Bas Yisrael could eat truma. Shalach lev ate yato himer kain. You don't say this. I thought there was a chazak on you. Shata baki b'chedrei Torah. You're a baki in all the rooms of Torah. And you don't even know a kavachimer. What's a kavachimer? Umash shivcha kananis. So shivcha kananis, right? A goyish a slave. Shein biyasa machilasa betruma. That if a kohen is mezana with her, if a kohen sleeps with her, that does not allow her to eat truma because she's a guy, right? But kaspa, but if the kohen buys her with money, machilasa betruma, he can feed her with truma, right? Again, if a kohen sleeps with a guy, with an eved, right? Sorry, shivcha kananis, right? He sleeps with a shivcha kananis. That does not allow her to eat truma, obviously. But if he buys a shivcha kananis with kesef, then he could feed her truma, right? Because then she becomes his property. Zu should be also machilasa betruma. This one, right? Meaning, if somebody who does kiddushin, a kohen does kiddushin, then avada, that if he's makadosh with money, she should be able to eat. She should be able to eat the truma, right? But what should I do? Even though this is the kavachayim, what should I do? Should I amr chachamim? We said that an engaged girl was engaged to a kohen is not allowed to eat truma until she has nisuin, right? So basically, that was the back and forth. He said, I heard that you mated it. He said, yeah, I really would have mated it from a kavachayim, but I can't mated it. Right? So that was the back and forth.
How do you bring this kavcha mashivcha kananis she'ein biyas machilas v'truma?
Correct.
Does that mean that it has a din bia with a shivcha kananis?
What do you mean a bia? Sure, it has a shame bia.
I'm not the physical. Does it have the shame? What to physicals? It's a shame beer.
No, it doesn't mean anything. There's no kiddushin there. It's meaningless.
So how bring a kal v'chomer from a guy?
Because we're saying Lamaisa, if he sleeps with her, it's meaningless. But if he gives her money and buys her, she could eat truma. So then somebody who sleeping with her is meaningful, like a yidna, then avada buying her with money should allow her to eat truma. All right, it's just that it's one of those kavachimis that's coming off of something that's also to be done, but lemaisa makes it into a kavachim, right?
You bring a ride from an Issa.
Yeah, it's not really a ride from Issa; it's just the kavachim that the kesef works. But then he said, "What should I do?" The chacham said it's awesome. So now we have to figure out what's going on here. Hey, tell me what's the case? If you say you're talking about a bia that came with a chuppah, the kesef shayidei chuppah, and we're talking about a kesef shayidei chuppah, so that can't be the kavachim. But tavayu mechalachla, we know that's what we paskin. If it was chuppah, then anybody that has chuppah, who has kedushin with kesef and then chuppah, or bia and then chuppah, can eat truma, right? Any bas Yisrael who marries a kohen can eat truma in that situation. Chuppah must be talking about that the bia is with chuppah, the kesef shalei de chuppah, and kesef is without chuppah, meaning it's just kedushin. So then hacha tarti v'hacha chada. Well, you can't compare the two because you can't bring a kavachayim from the bia because the bia had two things. It had bia and it had chuppah, and the kesef only had one thing. It had just kesef. So that can't be. You can't say a kavachayim that way. Elalav. The bia shalaya de chuppah must be talking about bia without a chuppah. The kesef shalaya de chuppah and kesef shalaya de chuppah. Right? Meaning now we're talking about a bia with no chuppah and kesef with no chuppah. Right? And then we want to make a kavachayim. So if you say that the bia makes nisuin, so then that's why it's pashut that bia is stronger than kesef, and therefore we have a kavachayim. But if you say that bia just makes kedushin, so why you push it that by bia it's mekadesha that she could eat truma, and by kesef you can't, meaning they're both the same exact thing. So basically, one wants to bring a raya that when it says bia, it must be bia together with nisuin. Bia makes kedushin and nisuin. Memela, she's allowed to eat truma, and we want to take from that and take kesef from a kavachaymer and say that she should be able to eat truma even from the kavachaymer. So it must be that, bottom line is, the Gemara wants to bring a raya from here that bia does make kedushin and nisuin. Fine. So Rav Nachman says, no, we're talking about bia with a chuppah. The kesef shloye de chuppah and kesef without a chuppah. Oh, we said you can't compare the two because bia with a chuppah has two kinyanim: bia kedushin, chuppah nesuin, and kesef only has kedushin. You still have a kavachaymer. What's the kavachaymer? This is what he sent to him. Yeah. A shivcha kananis, if a kohen's boil her, she cannot eat truma, obviously, because she's a guy. I feel like they chuppah. That's even if he decides to put his goyish servant, this goyish lady, under the chuppah. Because she's a guy, you can't marry her. So kaspa, but still, if he buys her with kesef, machilasa b'lo chuppah, then he could feed her even without a chuppah. Meaning, again, a kohen sleeps with a guy. He cannot feed her truma even if they have a chuppah, right? But yet his kesef can feed her. So this one, meaning a kohen, that her bia is machilas b'truma yidei chuppah, ain't no din shekaspa machilas b'truma yidei chuppah, right? If you have a kohen who marries a bas Yisrael and has bia and has a chuppah, and she could eat truma from that. So nanavada, somebody who has kesef, kesef machilas b'truma below chuppah.
Doesn't make sense. The shifcha is also to him. Once she's also to him, al zayna. because she's a goitess. So there's an isser for the kohen. So she only becomes mutter to eat truma while she's an evid.
Right. So that's what Zev was asking before. But at the end of the day, it still makes the kal v'chomer. Bottom line is, you see from Shivcha that Kesef is stronger than Bia, right? Because Bia by a Shivcha will not allow her to eat truma, but Kesef does allow her to eat truma. So we should say the same thing, right? Kesef is stronger than Bia.
Why don't you learn from a donkey? His donkey could eat truma, and he can't have Bia with his donkey. What's the big deal? His donkey, and Kenyan Kaspa eats truma.
And Achanami, you want to say maybe Taka? Why not? I think you're right, Rabban. Why can't we make the same kal v'chomer with a donkey?
Because you're not making. You got to make the kal v'chomer in the same realm. You can't.
Why? What's a bia? Not a bia.
It's considered a bia with a donkey, or it's something
not
else.
A bia. No, it's
right. That's exactly what I'm telling you about. But it's not.
But it's a Kenyan kaspa eats truma.
Right. His animal can eat truma. Bottom line, his animal can eat truma.
Yaakov, we did say, I think, in Yavamis that there's an idea of bia. Well, we said it was a shayla and Rishayim if being boil guy is considered a bia or not. So we said it was machlekes Rabbeinu Tam and Rivam maybe, or
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So if you hold it's a real bia, you Zev is a good taina. It's a completely different sugi over here. We're talking about bia as being kaina because it's considered a bia. If being boil an animal is not considered a bia.
All right, I hear. Okay,
and even according to the other Rishonim that holds it's not a bia, they still are. There's still
no, but you
said back then that it still has some level of a bia more than an animal.
Right. Okay, well, I hear what you're saying. I hear. But main point is that kesef is stronger than the bia. Benegea being allowing things to eat truma. Anyway, Savamai as a shrei amr chachamim ein erusa bas Yisrael v'chaz v'truma shetikon as a chuppah mishum deula. So what should I tell you? Even though we have this kal v'chomer, and yes, she should be able to eat truma. Still, we don't allow it because you have Ula's Gezerah that we're afraid that she's going to go feed it to her siblings. Who ben Bagbag, Gabi Shikla Kananis Lo Shire Bikunyana. Ben Bagbag, who'd never even learned the Kal V'chaimer to have a Havamina to allow a engaged woman to eat Truma. Ben Bagbag, Gabi Shikla Kananis Lo Shire Bikunyana. By Shikla Kananis, you bought her totally. There's nothing left to buy, right? Meaning you buy her with money and that's it. She belongs to you. Hacha Shire Bikunyana. Here by engagement, you're still missing a kinyan. It's very nice you're married to her, but you don't have the suin, right? So it's not nearly as strong as meaning the kesef by owning a guy is a full out purchase. You own her totally. When you purchase a woman, at least in the first stage in Kiddushin, you don't own her totally. You still have to do another process to get there. Fine. That's one. Ravina Amar.
Why is that Viter more of a? Why isn't that Viter like the Rishonim say that even more of a kal v'chomer? Meaning, why is that Michlal? The Rishonim loves to say is in the previous, like the first few blot, that's even more of a kal v'chomer then.
Right. Well,
so why?
Yeah, I mean, you can go back and forth with the kal v'chomer.
That's what I'm saying. It's not. Why don't say Viter? You see, Viter, and it could still be kinda.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know when you go. Like we had this way back in the beginning of the Masechta.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Back.
Like
sometimes way back.
Sometimes doesn't.
Right. I hear. Fine. So Ravina Omar.
Why does the Mishnah use a Isha Niknas? She's not kinda after. She has to wait for the Nisuin.
She has to have what?
We just said
saying?
She's not fully kinda. You have to wait for Nisuin.
Correct.
Isha Niknas b'shalish drachim.
Right.
Doesn't say half a Niknas.
It is. Yeah. You're married enough that she requires a get. You want to get divorced, but you still need to sue it. Right? You still need to sue it.
It didn't say, but is it fully kind or not fully kind?
No, it's not fully kind. No, it's only kind of the first stage.
It clearly is not fully kind of Rashi said you can't.
Right, but the Mishnah. I'm just going on Mishnah.
Yeah, you're kind of are correct, but you still need to do a second stage of kinyan. She is yours. She's nobody else's. Meaning the Mishnah is saying kinyan, as she's yours as opposed to anybody else's. But you still need to do a second stage. That's what it's saying.
Do you think that it's a kinyan that you own her body? Actually, I'm saying it's clearly not the same
well,
thing.
Yeah.
I'm saying,
I mean, however we understand that. Yeah. Okay. So Ravina,
it's really. I mean, if it's really not a kinyan. It's not a full kinyan because you don't get your ma'aseh there. There's a lot of. I mean, with that, with that kinyan of the first, of the first Ishik Nicholas. When he said Ishik Nicholas in the Mishnah, so it's not a full kinyan. All right, weiter, forget it. Go weiter. Forget
it. Lamaisa, it's still a kinyan. It's a kinyan, but negate to the rest of the world. That it is.
It's also not had. Well, whatever. Okay, let's go weiter. Okay, weiter.
Yeah. Anyway, so Ravina is a different shot. Midaraisa mifsha pshita leita achla. Midaraisa, it's pashit that she's allowed to eat, like we've been saying, right? And midarabanu deshalachle, and Rabbi Yehuda, who was asking to Ben Bagbag, he was asking. It was Yehuda ben Bagbag. I'm mixing up the names now. Oh yeah, right. It was Yehuda ben Beseira sending to Yochanan ben Bagbag. Right, that's what it was. With the Rabbanan the Shalachla, he was talking about the Rabbanan. Bachi Shalachla, and this is what he sent to him. Shamati alech shato aimer arusa b'Yisrael lechelas b'truma. I heard that you say that a girl that's married / engaged to a kayan is allowed to eat truma. V'loy chayeshes l'simfon. Are you not chayshish for simfon? So simfon basically means is that something's going to blow up. It doesn't mean blow up literally, but it means that maybe he's going to change his mind, meaning he's going to find a mum in her. How can you go have her have a Kiddushin and he's going to go and she could eat truma? What happens if he's going to find out that there's something wrong with her and he's going to say, okay, the Kiddushin is toys, right? And Mamela, she ended up eating truma. So Shalach Lei, so he sent back to him, don't you say this that it works? Now let Lidrosh, you don't have a Kavachimer, Mashivcha Kananis. How about a Shivcha Kananis, right? A guy that you're buying. Shane Bia Samachilaza Betruma. Her Bia doesn't feed you Truma. Doesn't let her eat Truma, but Kaspa Machilaza Betruma. But if he buys the Shivcha Kananis, she could eat Truma. How can you give her Truma? Maybe you're going to find something wrong in this Evid Kananis, the Shivcha Kananis. You're going to go back to the owner and say, hey, you ripped me off. There was something wrong with this Shivcha Kananis. And then they nullify the sale. And now a guy ended up eating some of his Truma. We're not worried about it. So this, meaning a regular Yiddish woman who marries this guy, right? Isn't it a kavachaymer that the kesef should give her truma? And we're not chayshish for simfon. Meaning he's basically saying kavachaymer that if you're not worried by buying an eved, what do you call it? Female shifla kananis, we're not worried about her eating truma and then finding out there's something wrong and nullifying the sale. We're not worried about that. So kol shekain, somebody who is that kesef would be kind to her, bia would be kind to, right? And kesef would also. So then we're not chashiv simfon. But ma'aseh sheyam achama rusa basol eno chelas b'truma, right? Antam b'alef now achetichnes l'chuv mishum deula. Bottom line is she can't eat because of Ula's gezerah. But really, other than that, a Kavachayim should tell us that we're not worried about simfon. We're not worried about there anything being wrong with the body, right? So now what comes out that we have two reasons why theoretically you're not allowed to feed a engaged girl truma. One is because of Ula, which is that she may feed it to her siblings. And then you have this new chashash that maybe there's going to go something wrong, right? There's going to be something wrong with her, right? Yeah. So now let's see. Ben Bagbag. What about Ben Bagbag? Right? He didn't go with this Kavachemer. Simfun Bavadim Leslie. He said, because there's no Simfun by Avadim. Meaning we're not worried about a guy changing his mind and saying that he was ripped off by the Avadim. Why? Because because if it's a mum that's revealed that everybody sees, he saw it and he decided to buy the Evid anyways. So then he can't tie in a mekach toys. And if it's a mum that's hidden that nobody could see, who cares? The malacha kabayla, he wants the Evid. He didn't buy the Evid for her looks. He bought the Evid for her to do work. Who cares if she has a face, a pimple where nobody's going to see it? Right? So he doesn't care. And let's say Nimtza Ganev, Oikov Eustace. And let's say the Eved that he bought ends up to be a crook, which is obviously not a good thing to have an Eved that's a crook. Oikov Eustace, that's interesting. Machlokes Rashi tells us what Kov Eustace is. Rashi says Kov Eustace is kidnappers, Goinim Nefashis. Right? And Tosis has some kashas. And Tosis says basically he's Masachik Bekuvya. He's a gambler. Right? So, and that can obviously gamblers always leads to issues. So he giyu, right? So even if the guy becomes even if the Eved it's revealed that the Eved was a gambler or a kidnapper, right? It's still because meaning that's an expected thing, that slaves are not exactly the greatest characters in the world, right? But my Amrit list in Mizuyan. What about if he's an armed robber? That's already dangerous. Or nichtav l'malchus, or he was written to the malchus, meaning that he's chayav misa and he's a runaway. Hanu kala islu. Those everybody's going to know. Meaning, when you go to the shuk to buy a slave, if that slave was chayav misa, everybody's going to know about it. Yeah, fine. So then the Gemara says, so therefore there's no. Ben Bagbag says there was never any chashash that an Eved you're going to renege on the deal. Okay. Michti. So Gemara asked, now going back to Sugya, Bein Lamar, whether we have Ben Bagbag or going to Yehuda Loy Ochla. Bottom line is, both of them agreed that a woman who's married to a Kohen cannot eat Truma until she's married, right? What have Ben Bagbag and Rabbi Yehuda having a machlekes about? He's saying back to him, I thought you were a learned fellow, you don't know a Kavachayim. Bottom line is everybody holds that a woman married to a kohen is not allowed to eat truma. So what are they fighting about? Right? So there is a difference between them. Kibel, Mosar, V'holach. Let's say the kohen knew about the mum, and he said, "I'm marrying her anyways." Right? So then, if you hold that the issue is that he might renege or nullify the sale, so then he already accepted the mum, so therefore he has no time, right? But according to the other shita, that the reason is because they may feed to the siblings, so then you still have a problem. Or masav halach, or the other difference is where the kiddushin happened without the chassan, meaning the father gave the girl over to shluchim, right? Or the shluchim gave over the girl to other shluchim, right? So there's no siblings around. So maybe there the kohen she should be able to eat truma, because since there's no siblings around, there's no family around, it was done through shluchim. So then maybe she would be able to eat truma. But according to the other shita, that there's a mum, well, the chassan may get to her and say, "Hey, there's a mum here. This kedushin was not a kedushin," and in the end, she ended up eating truma shaloi kedin. Bottom line is that those are the two reasons why a person. That's why a bas kohen, somebody married to a kohen, cannot eat truma. Okay.
The Sansa with his Rebbitzin.
What?
His Rebbitzin was a cripple, and he davened that he should become the cripple, not her. And he had a problem with one of his legs, and he married his Rebbitzin.